Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. We're so glad you could join the Festival of Training online. And this is the session on RYLA 2021, Training Youth for Service, which will be presented by Kate Matos. I'm Kirk Laughlin. I'm the tech support, and I am I'm the treasurer for the U District Club. So before we get started, I want to thank everyone who helped put this together. It took a lot of work. So I want to thank Jean Withers and her team, including Bill McElroy, Kathy Gibson, and Howard Cohen for putting this concept together under a very short timeline. So if you know or see any of them or have the ability to reach out, please thank them for all their work. And, wait a minute. I'm already having a tech trouble. There we go. Okay. Like I said, everyone's in listen only mode. And this slide should not be relevant, but if we get to a point where we unmute people to ask questions verbally, when you're not speaking, go down and mute yourself. If you have a question during the session, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. This arrow actually points to the chat button, but a little bit to the left is the Q&A. So put your questions in there. It's a little easier for us to keep track of. If you have a general question, you're having tech trouble or something like that, you can put that in the chat and we'll address it offline or separately as the case may be. We are planning to pepper in questions as Kate moves through the slides. If we can't get to one or there's so many, we'll save some and answer them at the end, but we'll do our best to answer them as we go along. I'm saying we, I mean Kate will answer your questions. And if you happen to get bumped off the Zoom meeting, just log back in. That shouldn't be an issue. And I want to remind everyone that these sessions are being recorded. And they'll be put up in a day or two on a private YouTube page, and you'll get a link to that after the session by email. All right, so I think that's everything. Kate, did I miss?
I think you covered everything.
Yeah, I may have well forgotten something in the last 2 minutes, but okay. So I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you. So I know that we probably have some folks on this call who are well-versed with RYLA and some who are coming to this for the first time. So I hope that the presentation will include information for everyone. Please pepper in questions throughout. If we are working through a slide and something pops into your mind, please let us know. We'll try and address it as we go. So what is RYLA? RYLA is the Rotary Youth Leadership Award. Sometimes it's called the Rotary Youth Leadership Conference or Assembly, but the point is to recognize students who show the potential for leadership, bring them together for a conference where we teach them intensive leadership skills and they make connections with other peers, often from other schools and towns, and at the end, hopefully are inspired to continue working towards Rotary or service to their community in some way. Above, I've included the description from our RI website, but to give you a little bit of background, the first RYLA was held in Australia in 1960, and it became an official Rotary program in 1971. I invite you also to think back to when you were a high school junior. You may have viewed yourself as an adult, but still had a lot to learn, or maybe didn't have the confidence to match. You saw a future full of possibilities, and if you were lucky, you had someone who was there to help mentor you from that process of being a career student to a career professional. And for many of our students, this is their first introduction to Rotary. And what we hope is that they will see that Rotary is a great way for them to advance their career, to learn about how to have an ethical vocation, the value of all vocations, and that they will want to stay within the Rotary community. Do you mind going to the next slide? So our RYLA, we like to call it RYLA Northwest, and we think it's pretty special, in part because we believe it is the oldest RYLA in the United States, or in North America actually. Ours was founded in 1969 after a student from our area went on a youth exchange to Australia and then brought the program back. So it was before RI even recognized the program. In addition, it is a joint district program between 50/20 and 50/30. So we have students who come from the Seattle area, but also from Canada, and travel down. And you should hear at the tables lots of conversations about where they go shopping, what kind of food they eat, different linguistic differences between the two countries. They really have an international flavor in what is traditionally a homegrown local conference. Most of our students are high school sophomores or juniors, although other districts in the area will do college students, but we like to focus on the high school students. And we generally have between 100 and 110 students each year. That being said, next year's RYLA is likely to look very, very different from our current one. This is in part because of, the natural progression of these programs, but also because of the coronavirus. So do you mind going to the next slide? So what is our curriculum based on? First and foremost, it is based on Rotary's 4-way test and the principles of servant leadership. We hope that by the time they walk away, they have at least a baseline foundation in the principles of Rotary. We do this through a number of different formats, including speakers, team-based activities, and puzzles. So first, we work on the individual. How do we set goals, confidence in public speaking, and then also how to identify different personalities and to resolve conflicts between those types of personalities. We then include information about teamwork and team building so that they can take those skills and apply them through all sorts of different challenges and puzzles and learn how to work together with a group of essentially strangers. And then the ultimate level that we hope to achieve with these students is to see the idea of teams of teams, how different groups can work together for shared benefit. And this harkens back to the idea of clubs working together within a district, districts working together, and then ultimately to the founding of the United Nations, right? There's all different ways that different groups can work together for shared benefit. So, having had to cancel this past spring, we are also looking at alternative formats. There are multi-district conversations about how to either socially distance a RYLA, which has historically not been how we do things, and also looking at how to take maybe aspects of it online or do more collaboration between districts. So there is more to come in the future. Do you mind going to the next slide? So first, one of the huge benefits we've had over the past couple of years is a strong speaker community. These speakers are people who give TED Talks, who are professional trainers, and they come and give their services for free or very little money, which allows us to keep our fees low. So if you know anyone who would want to donate their services as a speaker, including Rotarians or yourself, please let us know. We're always looking for people who want to talk on these great topics and have something to share with our students. The best ones are a combination of skill building and inspiration together. And you can, we'll have email addresses at the end so you can reach out to us. Next slide. The second piece of it is team building, which we have a very short window with which to work with our students, but we hope to help them go through that process of forming, norming, and performing in that very short time frame. What we endeavor to do is provide them with different challenges. We like to talk about how we are not trying to push them out of their safe zone, but into their stretch zone. So no one should feel like any of these challenges are overwhelming, but they should feel like maybe this is something they wouldn't do every day. Along with that, there's a lot of trust and coordination type exercises. So passing balls, trust falls. There's conflict resolution, shared decision-making, as well as problem solving. How do we get a group of people who maybe haven't worked together before to solve a problem and come up with a shared solution, whether that be through a fully democratic process or a deliberation or even the appointment of someone to make the decision for the group. So we like to try and get the students to try different things and see the world in a different way. Next slide. Along the lines of speakers, we before I'm going to tell you how you can send a student, we're going to tell you how you can help serve our program. So for currently, the biggest thing that we are doing is building out a facilitator program. Why? Because there's no better way to grow and develop future leaders in Rotary than through mentorships. So what we do is we recruit RYLA alumni, Rotaractors, Rotarians to work together to build a curriculum, to design the team building activities, and then to implement them when we are at the conference. So if you are interested in mentoring and working with our Rotaractors and our alumni, please let us know. We have a great group of young adults, and we hope to have a similar format in the future where they can really take the lead in leading teams. Next. The next way you can serve is by serving on your district RYLA team. So these are your district RYLA representatives. In addition, we have a whole suite of 20 representatives, and we work together to work out all sorts of logistical issues like selection of location, budgeting, youth protection, all those pieces that go behind the scenes to support our facilitators in running a great program. And one of the commitments is that in addition to working throughout the year to build the program, you also come and spend the 4 days with us at the site and really get to see the fruits, the products of all of our efforts. So that is us last year. This year we had to postpone due to coronavirus. Next. So why most of you are probably here is you want to send a student, or maybe you have been sending a student and you see that there is this great value in the investment that you're making. So if you're looking to send a student for the first time, the first step is to talk to your club leaders about sponsoring a student. Along with that is budgeting. Historically, we've set the cost at approximately $325 a student. And going forward, we're going to ask that you begin to budget at $450 per student. We are finding through polling of other districts that the average is about $450 to $600 per student. And the biggest difference between our program historically and that program is that our students have, until now, had communal sleeping arrangements where all of the students are placed in a gymnasium with supervision, and that is where they sleep. We were looking to make a change to put students in dormitory style rooms or shared communal living, but that is even more important going forward with the current virus situation. So we will be trying to move to a situation where all the students are accounted for in beds and don't have to bring camping supplies. And that accounts for our difference in budgeting. The other thing you need to do is to think about what kind of students you want to select. So I would recommend high opportunity students who are recognized as having the potential of leaders, whether or not they have experience through student government or being the captain of their sports team, the students who will gain the most benefit from attending. So among the students that we often have presidents of their SBAs, but we also have students who've never held an elected position, but maybe are very invested in volunteer groups. They might be a member of the Interact Club, but not yet a leader in the Interact Club. So these are different ways to think about how to select a student. And then a key to that is also to enlist your high school, whether it's through your Interact Club or through the student guidance office, to make sure that they know that the student's going, that they're going to be missing school, and all those pieces. Next slide, please. In terms of the nuts and bolts, what we've done is we've set up a two-tiered system for registration on DACDB. The first one is what we call the club reservation. As you can see, this is the entire form. It is very simple, and it allows a club to designate a representative and to inform us of how many students are going to be attending. The second piece is we separately send a registration invitation to the student who's selected once you choose them. Next slide, please. So once you've picked your student, you send us their email address and their contact information. And what we will do is send an email to them with a link to the registration forms, all the information that they need, the releases, medical information, all of that. We like to say, if you're receiving questions from parents regarding sleeping arrangements, medical management of conditions, to forward that to us as the committee, because we work together with our venue to make sure that we have a system in place, for instance, for managing medical situations. But other logistical questions like transportation, we would ask you to work on with the student, because not all students have a guardian in their life who can help them drive to the venue. So that is something to think about when you're signing up for this, is that we look to you to make sure that the students make it to the site. Next slide. So once you've selected the student, they've registered to attend, we encourage you to continue to communicate closely with your student to make sure that they make it to the venue on time. Even with our facilitators, sometimes we have facilitators who the day before training or the day of training tell us that their ride fell through, and so they need a Rotarian to pick them up. And so be prepared for you know, these sort of last minute calls to fix logistics. After the student attends, we encourage you to invite the student to come back and to present at your club. Why? In addition to learning about what they did for that period of time when they were with us, it is a great opportunity to give them another public speaking experience and for them to see what Rotarians look like in action. We're giving them a foundation of what our principles are and some modeling of what we do, but attending a club meeting is a great way for them to see how you interact in the community and the kind of speakers you bring in. Next slide. So for more information, the place to find the most information is absolutely our website. We maintain the forms for our Rotarians and students year round so that you can find that information. And then we update them on a yearly basis in anticipation for the conference. It also includes our contact information and also the identities of the district committee. So if you want to find out another point of contact, that is a great way to see who is serving on the district committee. We also have social media. So every year for the past 2 years, we have social media gurus who take pictures and post what our students are doing during the course of the conference, which allows family members to track and see what they're doing, but also our clubs to see the kind of activities and speakers that we're bringing in for our students and to see really all the fun that they're having. And then finally, please contact us if you have any questions. Station Marshall is our RYLA secretary. She has been with us for such a long time. She is a great resource, and she is very helpful with logistical questions, how to register students, payment, all those sorts of things. If you have questions about joining our team, joining the facilitator team, things like that, please reach out to me. So with that, I would love to open it up to questions and see if anyone has any comments or questions.
And Kate, would you like me to unmute people since?
Sure.
Time?
Or if we have any that were sent by chat, I'm checking real quick.
Yeah, we just have
We
one.
have greetings.
So here's one from Amy Huggins. When will the conference be in March? Or sorry, will the conference be held in March 2021?
That is a great question. So first, my gut is it will not be in March. In order to move into dormitory style or tent style sleeping, we need to move to the very beginning of summer camp season, or we need to move towards after finals at Pacific Lutheran University, where we're currently held. So that puts us in the May timeframe, late May, early June. In addition, we're still trying to see what the restrictions might be in terms of how closely we can keep students, what the recommendations will be. So we're still trying to be dynamic and fluid and flexible in terms of format, and that might influence when we get together.
Okay, and we have this is more of a comment from Kathy Gibson. A District 50-30 goal is to have every club sponsor at least one student for RYLA 2021. And there's a question from Earl Wayne Gott. Is there a limit to how many students each club can send?
So historically, we've had a limit, and that was before I came here. One of the concerns is some groups want to send 5 students from the same high school, and when the last thing we want is a group of students who already know each other and then form a clique, because we really want all these students to kind of not know each other. So that is the primary consideration. In addition, if you're already sending 1 or 2 people, please don't send 5 next year, in part because we are expecting a expanded attendance with more clubs and 30 sending students. And so we are currently trying to right size our cost estimates when we reach out to facilities to make sure that we have enough space for those students. So kinda, but not really.
There's also another question from Kathy asking you, Kate, to share your RYLA experience.
Sure. Oh, I thought about whether to do this. See, it's almost like I have a planted question person here. So I attended RYLA in 2002 in northern New Jersey. So I grew up in a town with a view of New York City on 9/11. That was my fall. And in the spring, I was selected to attend RYLA. So my grandfather had been a Rotarian. I grew up when I spent weekends at their house. They had a desk that had all the flags that he had for countries he had traveled to with Rotary. He had one of those old wooden chairs with the Rotary emblem on it. And at that point in time, I thought, I want to be a Rotarian because they seem like they're really important. Not realizing that, you know, his desk came from his job, but, you know, all of his regalia on his desk came from Rotary. Beyond that, after, you know, delivering Meals on Wheels with him and things like that as a young child, I had no exposure to Rotary, was not a member of our Interact Club. And so when I applied for RYLA, I actually didn't know that much about it other than kind of the emblem that it's international, business folks, really important. When I went to RYLA, it was a life-changing experience. I had not been elected to any leadership positions in my school, but my school provided me with the application because they would select who was able to apply. And the head of our guidance counselors was also a Rotarian in our town. And so from there, I was selected and went to this program. I met with people from, you know, 3 different counties in northern New Jersey. We had multiple exchange students. And what really struck me was the fact that in this time of, you know, great upheaval and conflict, there was this group of people who honestly believed that they could change the world one relationship at a time by doing one service project at a time. And so I, after that, applied to be in our counselor program. I then joined a Rotaract Club and continued to do service with the Rotaract and the RYLA counselor team for my entire college career. And then I continued to stay in contact with our district RYLA program. The summer before I moved out here, I was traveling back and forth, and I had the opportunity to actually show up to RYLA. So I went to RYLA. I did a trust fall with a group of strangers. And as I was walking out, the Rotarian who had been my advisor, who'd helped me pick my career and had continued to guide me through that process of being a high school student all the way to then having a job and a career, told me, you know, it's time. When are you going to go back and, you know, join your club? And so when I came out here, she helped me through the process of finding a club and then to join, and has continued to mentor me in my continuation through different service and leadership opportunities in my Rotary Club. So what we hope to do is the same thing for our students. We hope that our students will be challenged, will see that they have the potential to be community leaders, and will stay with us so that they can go through all the different youth programs, now Rotaract, which is no longer a youth program, and will return to us as community leaders in the Rotary clubs. Sorry, that was a really long answer to that question.
That was me. So I have one more question from Nancy Bittner. Is your hope to still have RYLA at PLU, but house the students in dorms versus the gym for sleeping arrangements?
Yes, the primary consideration is the sleeping arrangements. And before the current health situation, we were getting, I think, increasing questions with our diverse community about gendered sleeping arrangements and ensuring that students had separation. And we have also reached the point where we have non-binary students who are looking for accommodations as well, and the gym format just does not meet any of those needs. And so we want to make sure that as a foundational matter, our students are comfortable being with us so that they have the best experience to grow. We are looking at, and our first quote from PLU is based on the coronavirus, so it was quite low to move into the gymnasiums, and quite frankly, they ended up canceling before we could. And so we're going to get another quote from them and compare it to other facilities in the area to see which is the best value. If we can stay with PLU, we would love to stay with PLU.
So that's all the questions I see in the chat box or in the Q&A box.
Well, if anyone has any questions in the future, please do not hesitate to reach out to either myself or Stacia. We're happy to walk you through the registration, recruit you to our team, including helping us get quotes for next year. So whatever part of it interests you, we would love to have more members on our team. And the 50-20 folks are not too bad either. So. Thank you for all the comments that are popping in. Thank you for attending, for giving up your time on this beautiful sunny day. Hopefully you're attending the youth protection seminar right after this, as I will be.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Kate. And I have just a couple minutes before 5:30, so absent any questions, I think we'll end this session. All right.
Great.
All right. Have a great evening, everyone.
How many attendees? Oh, quick. There's another question. Historically, we've had between 100 and 110. We often have registration up to 120, but we have attrition due to students who don't make it to the venue. So we've recently tried to make a push to make sure that every student registered shows up that day. And moving forward, based on the anticipation of every club sending a student, we expect to be up around 140 or 150.
Okay. That was another one. Okay. Get this.
I don't know the answer to this question.
Oh, how many Rotarians attended? Oh, so at the high point, we had 21 people logged in. And that included Kate and I.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. All right. See you.
Right.
One. Thanks.
Yes.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.